All right, let's get cooking. Welcome to the latest edition of Chin Check Sports Radio. I'm your host, JD. I want to thank you all for taking the time out to join us. And as always, we welcome any suggestions, feedback, comments, and criticisms, which improves the quality of our program, which ultimately improves your listening experience. Before we get started, I want to thank you for your tremendous support on our program. I know that our topics, and we're not putting our programs as much or as fast as we usually do, because we have other things going on, but we do have some good ideas that's written down, especially in the world of professional boxing and other issues with sports. Is just trying to find the time to get on the air, broadcast it, do our editing and do our mixing, and to put it out here on YouTube. But to all of our supporters, we thank you very much. People have been hitting us up, asking us about the current topic that we're going to talk about tonight. So we thank you for your tremendous support. This is a continuation, or you can say a finality, or a sequel of a previous broadcast I did about star quarterback Dak Prescott and understanding one's worth. That's why this one is aptly titled Dak Prescott, Understanding One's Worth Part 2. Now, if you don't know, Dak Prescott, after years of dragged out negotiations, after years of battling through the media against Jerry Jones, Dak Prescott signed a 4-year, $160 million contract, which is very good for him. And even breaking down the numbers, we're talking an average of $40 million a year, upwards of $42 million a year, which is right behind Patrick Mahomes, $66 million at the time of signing. Now, at least I've heard other reports there's also $95 million guaranteed at the time of signing, a total value of $126 million guaranteed. So definitely a win for Dak. If you go back and listen to that last broadcast, you will clearly see that I was all for paying Dak his money, because you know that we definitely support the athletes making their money, and we want the athletes to make all the money that they can. Because again, if you go back further to a broadcast when I talk about the hypocrisy of NFL business, and I broke down the amount of money that's generated by the talent on the field, and the players are only getting a piece of the pie. So again, I congratulate Dak Prescott for earning his money. That's money that's well earned, that's well deserved. Yes, even though I've had my issues with Dak Prescott's play at times, and I have been very vocal about his play, and I have criticized his play in crucial moments, the same can be said about former Dallas Cowboy quarterback Tony Romo. And this is a debate/discussion that I got into it on Twitter the other day with another Cowboys fan, when he stated that he always felt Romo was a better quarterback and Dak Prescott did not perform well, especially in that game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And I had to respond by telling him I watched Tony Romo get blown out against the Philadelphia Eagles in 2008. So this is not a knock on Tony Romo. My only issue was that Jerry Jones had no problem breaking out the checkbook for Tony Romo in 2013. And this is the year after, in 2012, which he did not lead the team to the playoffs, as well as leading the league in interceptions, and there was no issues there. So I always felt that they were trying to give Dak the short end of the stick. I didn't agree with giving a hometown discount or a team discount. We definitely expressed that on the previous broadcast. So Dak Prescott, considering losing his brother this past year and all that he's been through, both mentally as well as physically on the field, from recovering from his broken ankle, hopefully he gets back on the field healthy, which by all accounts he will be on the field healthy by week 1. And Dak seems to be a great guy. He seems to be well loved around the league. He carries himself well. So I'm definitely happy for him. He has now established his financial future as well as his family. And again, that's money that's well earned and well deserved. And congratulations to Dak Prescott, and we're not going to hate on Dak. Now, at the same token, I'm not going to say the pressure goes up, but when you're paid $40-something million a year, we're going to need a little bit more than 8-8, 9-7. We're going to need a little bit more than if your running back gets hurt, all of a sudden you can't produce anymore. So those excuses, they're out the window. You're being paid top quarterback money, and we expect top quarterback results. That's just the name of the game. And that's even a small part of the bigger problem with the Dallas Cowboys. I won't say problem, but another issue or something that's clearly present with the Dallas Cowboys is that they have players who are getting paid in the top 5 at their positions, and at the time of signing their contracts, they were the highest paid at that time. Now, of course, as league market dictates, when you sign your contract this year, another player in the same position is going to sign a higher contract. So that's just the nature of NFL business. But let's go down the list here. Now we have Dak Prescott signing the highest, richest contract ever for a quarterback. Ezekiel Elliott signing the richest contract ever for a running back. We have DeMarcus Lawrence, who at the time he signed was one of the highest paid defensive players. Amari Cooper, highest paid wide receiver. You have a lot of money locked in with Tyron Smith, future Hall of Famer Tyron Smith, as well as Zach Martin. Now, I just read an article today that they also restructured their contract to open up more room for the lessened salary cap this past season. Now, also part of Dak's contract is a no trade clause as well as a no tag provision. So definitely Dak got the financial security he wanted as well as the long term that he wanted. I know there was issues with signing maybe a three-year deal, a 4-year deal, and a 5-year deal. But the facts are that the deal is taken care of. That's one less thing for the Cowboys to worry about. Now, there's something I did want to kind of opine on here. Dak Prescott was drafted in 2016, for those of you who don't know. So again, I know our audience is people who are sports fanatics like myself. But let's talk to you all who are going to listen to this broadcast who really don't understand why this is important. Let's go through the quarterbacks of the 2016 draft. Drafted number 1 overall by the Los Angeles Rams out of California, Jared Goff. Now, we can say that Jared Goff had a very productive time with the Rams, leading them to the playoffs multiple times, as well as a Super Bowl berth. So Jared Goff, by all accounts, was not a bust, and he was everything that you wanted out of a first-round quarterback as well as a number 1 overall pick. However, the Rams could not wait to jettison him to Detroit for another former number 1 overall pick, Matthew Stafford. Now the question is that really an upgrade? Is that really an upgrade at the quarterback position? Because I could never understand the love affair or the fascination with one Matthew Stafford, considering he has no playoff wins, considering he's had one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, a first ballot Hall of Famer in Calvin Johnson, and yet did nothing, and that's winning maybe one division title or something like that, and that's playing against Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has dominated that rivalry. So to me, I don't get the love affair, but going back to Jared Goff, drafted number 1 overall, and in 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 6 seasons later, is now being traded to a team. That's really almost unheard of. The number 2 quarterback, Carson Wentz, out of North Dakota State. That's kind of turning into a little bit of a quarterback factory, if you all haven't noticed. Drafted by the NFC East rival, Philadelphia Eagles. And Carson Wentz, 2016, obviously his rookie campaign, he really didn't play that well. 2017 was pretty much would have been the MVP in his second season, but for a fateful leg injury that opened the door for Nick Foles to take that team and win the Super Bowl. So Carson Wentz is given credit for leading that roster, but unfortunately for him in Philadelphia, the Eagles or the Eagles fans have rather short-term memory, and really since Nick Foles won that Super Bowl beating Tom Brady, that pretty much began the clock ticking on the end of one Carson Wentz. And of course, there was rumors about him not getting along with teammates and other issues. He led his team to the playoffs in 2019. So I give Carson Wentz all the credit getting what you want out of a number 2 pick. But again, always hurt. I don't believe he's won a playoff game with the Eagles, because even the following season when the Eagles went to the playoffs, Nick Foles actually led that team because I believe he was hurt against the Saints. And please correct me if I'm wrong. Carson Wentz just got shipped off to the Indianapolis Colts. So again, the top 2 picks in the 2016 draft are now with new teams. Let's go to pick number 26 in the first round, one Paxton Lynch out of Memphis, drafted by the Denver Broncos. Now, what's funny, word around the campfire is that that's who Jerry Jones originally wanted. Now, let's really put this into perspective here, why the 2016 draft was so important. Tony Romo gets hurt in 2015. He gets hurt twice. Now, Romo's getting older, much more brittle. He's much more fragile. They seen how their backup quarterback situation was a mess, as evidenced by only winning one game in the 2015 season. That was really off of Deshaun Jackson decided to field the punt and fumbling. So they could have conceivably lost every game that season in 2015 in which Tony Romo was hurt. Now, that was something I have been saying as a Cowboys fan for a long time. Let's straighten out the backup quarterback situation. The chickens came home to roost, and they were awful. Finishing up 4-12 in 2015 is that pick. They drafted number 4. That's how they end up getting star running back Ezekiel Elliott. Now, the question was, are they going to draft a quarterback to build and to mold? Now, again, you still have that offensive line. DeMarco Murray in 2014 ran for 1,800 yards. They let DeMarco Murray go in free agency. They pick up Darren McFadden, who was number 4 in rushing and not even starting all the games. So there was a lot of hope and hype going into 2016 with hopefully a healthy Tony Romo. So let's continue on with that draft. So again, word is that Jerry Jones wanted to draft Paxton Lynch. Big kid, 6'6", 6'7", and let's just say he is now a free agent and a wonderful career of 5 games and 4 starts, playing for both the Denver Broncos and the Minnesota Vikings. In the second round, drafted at number 51 by the New York Jets, Christian Hackenberg out of Penn State. 0 NFL starts, and his last football action was playing for the Memphis Express of the now defunct Alliance of American Football. Drafted in the third round, number 91, Jacoby Brissett, who was a backup quarterback for the New England Patriots as well as the Indianapolis Colts. Now, he did win a Super Bowl with Tom Brady and the Patriots, and that's in that epic game where they were down 28-3 against the Atlanta Falcons. He was the third-string quarterback because remember, Jimmy Garoppolo, the current quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, was the backup quarterback while Jacoby Brissett was a third-string quarterback. And let's not forget, Tom Brady was suspended for the first 4 games of that season for the Deflategate scandal. Jimmy G was supposed to start the first 4 games, started the first 3, gets hurt, and then Jacoby Brissett, he loses that start. Then 3-1, Brady gets back, and obviously they win the Super Bowl. So Jacoby Brissett has been a career backup. The one time he did start was in 2017, and that's because he was traded from the Patriots to the Colts because of another injury to then starting quarterback Andrew Luck. He went 4-12. Number 93, drafted in the third round, Cody Kessler, former star quarterback of the USC Trojans. His career spanned playing for the Cleveland Browns, 2016 through 2017, the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2018, the Eagles and the Patriots in 2019, a 17-12 record. He's now currently a free agent. In round number 4, pick number 100, Connor Cook out of Michigan State, drafted by the Raiders from 2016 to 2017, the Carolina Panthers, 2018, the Cincinnati Bengals, 2018, the Detroit Lions in 2019, and the Houston Roughnecks. And a career of 14-21 for 150 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And Dak Prescott, he drafted in the 4th round, pick 135. So put this into perspective, the 7 quarterbacks drafted in front of Dak Prescott, 5 of them are out of the NFL. 2 of them, the top 2 picks of that draft, are no longer with their original team. Dak Prescott is still with his original team and signed a multi-year contract. Say what you want about the Dallas Cowboys scouting department and their inability to find talent. They clearly found the best quarterback of that draft. Just saying for all you Cowboys haters. So kind of put that in your bonnet. Of course, now the haters are going to say, well, you guys lucked in at Dak Prescott. Yeah, drafting is all about talent evaluation as well as luck. And for them to take a guy who at one time or another was sharing snaps in college at Mississippi State, led the Mississippi State Bulldogs to an actual number 1 ranking. So clearly there was something about this guy winning in the powerful SEC. So, yeah, if you want to say the Cowboys lucked into that, so be it. But yet, he's the only one out of that draft the only quarterback out of that draft who's still with his original team and just signed a multi-year contract. So I give the man all the credit in the world. His value was never realized because, again, people always thought it was Zeke. And that's true to a certain extent. I think the early years was definitely Zeke heavy. Now they've gone to more of a passing attack. And clearly, if you had Zeke, you had offensive line, you had Amari, you had CeeDee, you had Michael Gallup, and yet the Cowboys could do nothing offensively. So that's a problem, and I think that's where Dak's value rolls. I think that's something that Jerry Jones himself had to kind of weigh the pros and the cons. Do I want to sign another franchise deal, which would have been hell on the salary cap, and Dak probably would have walked in the offseason. So, again, well-earned money, and I don't have a problem with it at all. Now, let's go to some needs that we have here in Dallas. Okay, some serious needs. Clearly, the Cowboys need help on the defensive side. Now, let's go back in history. In 2004, the Cowboys gave up over 400-something points. This is during the Bill Parcells era. Bill Parcells comes in 2003, takes the team to 10-6. For some reason, decides to bring in Vinny Testaverde as a quarterback in 2004, thanks to Quincy Carter failing drug tests. Then he decides to turn the 2004 Cowboys into the 1998 New York Jets. The defense was atrocious. I personally think he wanted to sabotage that defense to build his preferred 3-4 defense, because at that time, under defensive coordinator at that time, current Minnesota head coach Mike Zimmer, ran a 4-3 defense, and actually in 2003, the Cowboys actually had the number 1 ranked defense in football. I'm not gonna throw the word sabotage, but I don't think Parcells really was a fan of the 4-3. He was a 3-4 guy, considering his time at the New York Giants with obviously one of the greatest defensive players, if not greatest defensive player of all time, one Lawrence Taylor. So in 2005, he went defensive draft heavy with some notable players: future Hall of Famer DeMarcus Ware, Chris Canty, Marcus Spears, and Jay Ratliff. So that started to kind of build that defense and more of the mold of the 3-4, which is what Parcells liked. Let's fast forward to 2020. Mike Nolan tried to run some version of a 3-4 defense that clearly didn't work. This is definitely one of the worst defenses of all time, not even of Cowboys history, of league history. So something has to give here. Now, I was watching Undisputed the other day, and Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp were saying that, especially Skip Bayless, that the tight end out of Florida, Kyle Pitts, if he was there at number 10, the Cowboys should definitely leap up and take him. And I felt that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You just paid one tight end some money. He gets hurt. Your backup tight end gets in there and he plays pretty well. You don't need tight end help. The Cowboys need O-line help and defensive help. I stated this on the previous broadcast, was that for O-line help, and here's why. The offensive line is getting much older. With Tyron Smith, 30 years old, but it's an old 30 years old. Have Connor Williams, he's serviceable. Tyler Biadasz, not bad. Zach Martin could be, banged up. He definitely faced a lot of injuries last year. And then you have Lyle Collins, who missed the whole season. So on paper, they are a solid offensive line, and I don't want to forget about Joe Looney. On paper, they have a very solid offensive line, but the question are the injuries. And again, it really reared its ugly head this past season. As I stated before, you have the Washington football team with their stud defensive line that you're going to be facing for at least the next 5 years, with the Deron Paynes and Jonathan Allens and Chase Young and Montez Sweat. These guys are thoroughbreds and first-round picks. You're going to have to contend with that. Not even forgetting the Philadelphia Eagles and Fletcher Cox and Graham and the New York Giants. They have a few first-round picks on their defensive line. So what was once a Cowboys strength the last 4 or 5 years really became a liability last year. I'm talking where you have the bench players move Zach Martin over to the right tackle position where he really shined. Connor Williams, he gets criticized for being the worst of all the linemen when everybody's healthy. Actually played pretty decent last season. So they're definitely going to have to find some depth on the offensive line. I would not take Kyle Pitts at all. I would really love that kid out of Oregon, Penn Sewell, where everybody's talking about this kid could be a Hall of Famer. So if that's the one person in the draft where everybody's saying that that's the guy who's going to wear a gold jacket maybe 10, 15 years from now, everybody's saying it's that kid. I mean, they're saying that he is a prototype. If he were to drop that far, I would say definitely grab that kid. No questions asked. I mean, even though you need defensive help, definitely grab that kid. There's no questions asked. Now, if Penn Sewell is not there at number 10, mock drafts have them drafting Alabama cornerback Patrick Surtain II. I remember his father, Patrick Surtain, playing for the Miami Dolphins. A very good player, so clearly it's genetic, clearly it's training, so the kid is good. There's another defensive back, Caleb Farley. A lot of ball instinct, a lot of range instinct. He did opt out this past season due to COVID-19. I wouldn't have a problem with either one. Alabama cornerbacks, pretty solid in the league. Obviously, take Trayvon Diggs, who had a stellar rookie season before being injured. You know, it's kind of feast or famine with him, but I love his energy and I love his excitement. And as Shannon Sharp stated on the show, understand, these Alabama cornerbacks were going against the Henry Ruggs and the Jerry Judys and the Waddles and the Devontae Smiths, the young kid who won the Heisman Trophy. So these are battles every single day. In practice. So definitely there's going to be a lot there. So you can go with Patrick Surtain. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Caleb Farley, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Rashawn Slater, offensive lineman out of Northwestern, he opted out. Now they said has his stock rising. Now he's not seen on the same level as a Penn Sewell, but what people say that there is game film against Chase Young where he has played well and really clamped down on Chase Young. So if that's something that the scouting department feels that's a necessity, do you draft it with number 10? Hopefully he falls. You maybe draft him for depth. And another person to keep your eye on is Penn State linebacker Micah Parsons. Now here's why I'm a little partial to a Penn State linebacker. LeVar Arrington, Sean Lee, Paul Pusley, Navarro Bowman, Tamba Hali. What do they have in common? All Penn State linebackers, all of them play great. So, to me, if they were to get this guy, Micah Parsons, in a few games I did watch him play, he definitely is solid. Because your linebacking core, they definitely need some help. I like to say Leighton Vander Esch. I'm going to call him right now. He's Sean Lee 2.0. His technique could use work. He's very rangy, and that's maybe playing defensive end in college. But some of his tackling has been atrocious. And Jalen Smith, heavens have mercy. There's this video on Twitter, and I sent it to a few friends of mine. It's some of the most poor, awful, pathetic display of linebacking play I have ever seen. Please, folks, go check it out. I forget who they were playing. Jalen Smith goes to meet the blocker in the hole. Instead of doing his job and filling the hole and filling that gap, he decides to spin to the outside, and literally the hole was right there. Maybe he anticipated the ball carrier going to that spot, but you have responsibilities, and that's a serious problem. So the Cowboys definitely still need some help. I'm not one to say that I'm going to start purchasing Super Bowl tickets already because, again, I need an improved defense. I need adjusted defense. I need a healthier offensive line. So not ready to jump on the Super Bowl bandwagon just yet. But Dak just got paid a whole lot of money, so we definitely expect results. Now, lastly, Skip Bayless. You know, I found it funny how Skip Bayless was sitting up there with his Dak jersey and praising Dak. And this is the same Skip Bayless who is quick to throw Dak Prescott's jersey in the trash. The same Skip Bayless. The same Skip Bayless who I've never seen him do that when he was on ESPN to Tony Romo, and think of the amount of heartbreak that we've gotten because of Tony Romo. Now, again, this is no shots fired at Tony Romo. This is just what we feel is Skip Bayless' hypocrisy regarding Dak Prescott. Again, you tend to love Dak, but you throw his jersey in the trash every single chance you get. I had a problem with that. This is the same Skip Bayless who stated that when Dak was going through his contract negotiations, he should give a hometown discount because money isn't everything. But he never said that about Ezekiel Elliott. I'm sure he never said that about, let's go back further to Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith and Romo and Tyron Smith and Zach Martin and Amari Cooper and DeMarcus Lawrence. He never said anything about that. But now when it comes to Dak should take a hometown discount because money isn't everything. And Dak makes a lot of money off of endorsements. And that should really, offset the cost. No, Dak's a quarterback. We live in a league where you pay your quarterbacks, and that's just the nature of the beast. You pay the quarterbacks money. And y'all have to remember this. Remember, the owners have flipped it. I'll take that back. The players wanted this flipped. They got fed up where Sam Bradford was the last of that bunch who was making $40, $50 million before even starting a game. Players were upset about that. Guess what? Now it's flipped. These players get these low rookie deals. Now quarterbacks get paid on the back end. So now guess what? You're 30-something years old. Now they're cutting off the contract. So they pretty much play chess with the players. But again, this is what the quarterback market demands. This is what I have a problem with Skip Bayless. And my last point about Skip Bayless to truly show the jackass that he is and why the hell does he get a pass on people I don't understand. This is the same Skip Bayless during 2020 when Dak Prescott stated he went through bouts of depression and he felt that he had mental issues going on. And for Skip Bayless to be so critical and to say he shouldn't have these issues because he's a starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, I found those comments disgusting. I found them asinine, and I found them rather ignorant. And with Skip Bayless, even when he was criticized for those comments, he doubled down and would not apologize for them and stuck by those comments. Again, why he gets a pass on that, I don't understand. But again, that's our 2 cents on the Dak Prescott contract. We definitely am looking forward to the season. Ironically, he does play at Kansas City this year to do the Dallas Cowboys. Hopefully, I can try to find my way to that game, as well as playing at the defending Super Bowl champion, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So let's just see what they do this season. And of course, we'll definitely have some other good broadcasts for you. Until the next time, it's Chin Check Radio signing out.